arms were numb, my legs were numb. I didn't have any choice but to fight him off. I couldn't fight him off. I had to just sit there and let it happen. The entire time he just kept telling me to stay awake, and I didn't say anything. He was right. It did keep me awake. After he was finished, he put on his shorts and went downstairs. I stayed in bed, wishing I would have let those pills finish me off and not have told anyone, because then it wouldn't have happened. I blame myself. I was awake now and not going back to sleep. I wanted to get this feeling off, so I gathered some of the strength that I could and took my panties and shorts off. I was still having a hard time holding myself up, but at least I could still do it. Because then I heard the house phone ring. I didn't want to answer it, so I let it ring, and eventually they didn't stop calling, so I decided I had to answer it. I went downstairs slowly but surely and made my way over to the phone. My mom picked up. I don't remember what she said, but about a minute after picking up, I passed out onto the floor. I hit the floor, and all I remember after that was waking up with the phone dingling from the wall and my mom yelling my name. I was a little bit shaken up, so when I picked up the phone, I didn't really know what to say. I ended up telling her I passed out. She told me to go lay down in bed, and she called Gage. Gage came inside with his friend, and I was laying in the bed. They both came in the room, and the first thing his friend said was that I looked dead. I opened my eyes just a little bit to let them know I wasn't, and then my brother got me a hot rag and laid in bed with me until I fell asleep. Nobody had knew what I had done, and honestly, I didn't want anyone to know. It was about 4 hours later, my parents came home, and they decided to take me to Dr. Cecil's office to get a checkup. I went to go in the car. It was really hard for me. My mom had to help me, and when I went outside and the light hit my eyes, everything went completely white. My eyes turned out to be really sensitive to lighting. It stayed like that for a couple of minutes, and I started to panic because I didn't understand what was going on. My mom, having no clue what I had done, told me to stop being overdramatic and get into the car. She helped me in, and we drove to town. We waited 30 minutes in the waiting room before they called my name. By then I was really tired, but I was functioning on my own, so I didn't need help walking back there, and I thought that meant I was going to be fine. And the doctor would just say I passed out from exhaustion. There were two ladies doing a checkup on me. When they took my blood pressure and heart rate, they looked at each other and then turned to me, and she looked at me and asked what I had done. I just looked at my parents and back at her, and I didn't say anything. I didn't want to say it in front of them. The other lady noticed and kindly asked them to step away with her. They went around the corner down the hall, and the woman sitting in front of me grabbed my hand and told me I wasn't going to be in trouble. But that is very serious that I tell her, because I was at a risk of a stroke. I didn't look at her, and I just said I took a bunch of pills. She turned to her computer and asked me what I had took. I didn't remember the names, so I told her I don't know. Then she asked me what they looked like, and I told her. She went to go get my parents. When they came back, my mom was crying and my dad looked worried. We got to the hospital, and I stayed there overnight. Then they released me the next day. I went home, and my parents acted as if nothing had happened, like I didn't just try to kill myself. And that made it worse for me, because right then and there I knew if I ever wanted to talk to them about anything, they weren't going to listen. That summer ended, and I still carried around my secret burden. I was going to Ballard County High School this year, and I was terrified. He rode the bus with me. I saw him in the hallways, and I was reminded of it every day. I couldn't tell anyone, though, because I figured it had already been too long, and also I thought it was my fault. I thought people would say I brought it upon myself, and honestly, I look back at that now and realize how dumb I was for thinking that. It sucked going there. and although I had tons of friends, my reputation was still pretty bad there. All the girls didn't want to be my friend because they thought I was a troublemaker. None of the boys wanted to even be around me unless they were talking about my butt or boobs. It was a small school, so everyone knows everyone there, which was a bad thing for me. It was until I had enough one day and I finally stood up for myself. The same guy that I had spread rumors about me in middle school was spreading rumors about me again. So at lunch, I walked up to him and I confronted him. I won't say the words that were shared because they aren't too kind, but I will say that I did gain a lot of respect that day from a lot of people. I was doing okay for a little bit until one day I got on the bus and he sat beside me. He just asked me how I was doing and I didn't say anything. I wanted to move seats so bad, but I couldn't. I was about to burst out crying. He kept talking and all I could remember from that was thinking in my head, please go away, please go away. And eventually he did because I would not talk to him. It's funny how my silence that summer wouldn't make him go away, but my silence then made him leave. I went home crying that day and it all began again. I started cutting again. I started getting high all the time and popping pills and going out to party. I snuck out to hang with people I wasn't supposed to and I ended up making a mess of my life. My parents never guessed I was doing that stuff because I was deceiving and knew how to play on their good side. I went to school one day and I was sitting in the gym waiting for first period to start when I saw him sitting across the gym from me. I decided right then and there that I was moving schools. I didn't want to be there anymore and I didn't want to be sad anymore. I wanted to escape this feeling. I went home and for 3 weeks I begged my parents to let me move. I got on their last nerve about it and they finally caved in. In the middle of February I moved to McCracken County High School. It was a good fresh start for me because I got to visit with old friends. The one thing I didn't like about it though was how many people were there. It was crowded and I hated walking through the hallways, but I got used to it because at least I didn't have to see his face anymore. 3 days after being there, I met someone. We have been together for over a year now and he has kept me from doing a lot of bad things. When we first met, I was a wreck. I was still smoking and popping pills and sneaking out. My life at home was also getting progressively worse and it made me want to do that stuff even more. I haven't talked about my parents that much because this was always a hard thing for me to talk about along with my rape. I guess if I'm going to be sharing my story though, I should probably tell you. My parents were abusive. They called me names, hit me, left bruises on me, and knots on my head. One day I got fed up with it after a morning that my mom got out of control just because she was stressed, and so was my dad. I finally told someone I went to the school and they contacted social services. That night I stayed with someone and my dad ended up in the hospital because he was so stressed out. And he has a heart condition where his heart beats off rhythm. Social services never came to see me till 3 days later. After they saw me and took pictures of the bruises, I didn't hear from them again until I went to the school once again. Again, they came back and did the same thing. Nothing happened. I stayed in that house. One night, it got really bad. I guess my parents felt bad and let me stay home the next day. I ended up telling my boyfriend and the police along with my social worker were called. This time, the social worker finally came out to the house after about a week. She talked to my parents and told them if it happened again, she was going to have to come out back to the house. She left and I was still left in that house because I'm a 16-year-old girl with running water and food in my fridge. I'm blessed to have those things, but you would think after seeing the bruises and being called about it numerous of times, they would at least take me out of the house. I stayed in that house and I decided I was never going to tell anyone again if my parents ever did anything. Nothing changed. There were still the same things that went on. The only thing I had left was my boyfriend and a couple of supportive friends. It was still all too much though. I decided one day once again that I couldn't bear life anymore. It was a Tuesday night, and I took a bunch of different pills again. I went to sleep praying that I would never wake up again. But I did wake up. I was so angry that I woke up. I still had to go to school, and when I got home, I planned on taking more and finally doing it this time. But when I was at school, I had been sitting down on my first hour for a little bit when I started to feel really lightheaded and my body seemed off. I knew it would be a side effect, but I ended up telling my boyfriend and he got scared, so he went to the school. From then on, I was sent to Lewis Hospital, then taken to a facility called Rivendell. I was there for a week before being released. While I was there, I got told I had 40 days of A school. I had 40 days of A school for coming to school under the influence. So that's why I'm writing this. In A school. It sucks. And I still have 28 days left, but I'm not worried about it. Because I am doing amazing. My life at my house has gotten better. I stay home with the same amazing guy, and I have learned to deal and cope with things a lot better. I am drug-free, cut-free, and although I never caught the justice for what he did to me, I have been dealing with that okay because I have finally told someone, and they helped me through it as much as they can. I would have never thought that I'd have such an amazing life and future ahead of me like I do today. Thankfully, I do. There's always things in life that can bring you down, but you have to be willing to save yourself in order to get better. Life is unfair and unexpected, but I promise it is always worth it. Never give up, because believe me, I know what it feels like to want to give up, and it really is not worth it. And that's my story. That's all happened in the past 4 years of my life. But you know what? I have gotten through it. And I'm really glad that I have, because I've learned that I deserve much better. And I am so happy now that I finally let it all go. And I want anyone out there to know, if you are a rape victim, please tell someone. You deserve so much better. Everyone deserves better. I love you all. Thank you for listening.